his head.
On everybody, this is Qbear back again with FluidDruid.net to bring you the normal Spine of Deathwing encounter in the Dragon Soul raid instance. As you saw there, as you parachute down, you can feral charge onto one of these corruption ads, giving you your free Ravage proc, as well as setting up some initial damage before the rest of your raid can actually reach them, which is pretty good. You're going to kill 3 corruption tentacles, leaving 1 up. Then you want to stack the raid into one of the dead points where a corruption tentacle was. This will grip you to the boss with everybody stacked on one side. It will cause Deathwing to do a barrel roll, knocking off the 3 hideous amalgamation ads that spawn from killing the 3 corruption tentacles. From that point, you'll kill the remaining corruption tentacle, giving you the hideous amalgamation ad that you want to use to release the first armor plate. Now, this fight is really all about ad control. And while there's a lot of points where you could seriously pad the meters, you definitely need to be aware of how the ads interact with each other. Basically, you will always have 1 corruption tentacle up, and every so often throughout the fight, it will grip 3 people on 25 man in your raid, and then the only way to release that grip is to do enough damage to it. However, every time you kill one of the corruption tentacles, it'll spawn a hideous amalgamation ad, which is the ad that is going to do the most damage to your tanks. So you need to make sure that you're trying to just have 1 out at a time. And then you have the corrupted blood ads. Basically, every time one of those die near the amalgamation, it's going to give it a stacking buff. At 9 stacks of this buff, it'll start to pulse for AoE damage. However, at 9 stacks of the buff, once it's dead, it'll cast Nuclear Blast, which is the only spell in this fight that will release the armor plate. So it's really important that you tank this ad near the unbroken armor plates, and you only kill it once it has 9 stacks, so that you can get that spell off to get you yet the last ad, which you need to kill 3 of those in order to defeat this fight. So Nuclear Blast does hit really hard. You need to be sure, as melee, once you see that spell going off, that you get as far away from that ad as possible. Moving really quickly back to get on this Burning Tender, which is going to try to close Deathwing's armor plate. This is a 23-second DPS race. You need to kill it before it can get its spell off, or you have to repeat this armor phase. For our guild, we use personal cooldowns on the 1st and 3rd armor plate, and Bloodlust on the 2nd one, while our personal cooldowns are still on CD. Every time we release an armor plate and we get these new corruption tentacles, we always handle it in the same way. We kill all except for 1, spawning the most amount of hideous amalgamations, and then we force a barrel roll to get rid of all of them, then killing the last corruption tentacle that had still up. Once your raid is stacked in here, there's going to be a lot of raid damage, so be ready to use tranks, be ready to use any. I also want to apologize for my voice. God, it's 2:30 in the morning. We just got done raiding about an hour and a half ago, and I really wanted to make sure I could get at least 1 video up for you guys. I figured this one would be the most enjoyable to watch. Everything happens really fast too, so there's a lot of talking that needs to happen. But basically, this fight then repeats itself. Now that we're left with the 1 hideous amalgamation ad, we have a group of range dedicated to breaking the grip that the corruption tentacle deals. All of them are breaking that grip with direct damage and not dots, so that the corruption tentacle doesn't take more damage than it needs to. A funny little glitch you'll see on this hideous amalgamation. Basically, we all started freaking out at our tank. Hey, you need to get him close to the bloods, he's not getting his buff stacked up. And then all of a sudden he went from 2 stacks to like 1,000,000 stacks, and it started just kicking our raids ass. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, this fight is serious ad control. There's nothing really else I can say, but I'm gonna continue to talk because I know you guys just love me oh so much. As you can see there, he just skyrocketed and absorbed blood, and then that pulse, as you can see, does a hefty amount of damage. But the only way to get him to cast the spell is to kill him while he's pulsing. So Nuclear Blast, again, you move out. And cool little tip here, you can tell what side the ad you need to kill is going to spawn on by looking at the plate. Basically, it'll always kind of pivot, and one side will start to raise higher, and if you move to that side, the Burning Tender will always be there. For this one, we do use Bloodlust, and because as you can see, my Berserk is still on cooldown, However, Berserk will be up for the third phase. As far as meter padding goes, this is a good point in the fight where if you just have to get it out of your system and get the swipes in, you can go ahead and do that because you're going to be getting rid of all these bloods and extra edge anyway. So again, once you get all the corruption tentacles down except for one, you move into a dead spot, which grips your raid, and then you force a barrel roll, getting rid of extra adds. At this point in the fight, there's going to be a lot of bloods, a lot of damage. So you need to make sure that you're using tranks, you're using innervates on your healers, you're using everything you can do to extend mana, to extend extra healing, just keeping your raid up. As you can see, for most of this fight, we've had, just one hideous amalgamation. There's been a few times where we've had two. However, this is what you're really aiming for, is just making sure there's one up at all time. Keeping them tanking near the bloods, I mean, it's a method. However, you got to make sure that you don't have trigger happy DPS that are going to be doing cleaves and stuff like that. You can see a few times where there's multi-shots and stuff going out on all the bloods for people just trying to get their meters up. However, I believe it is this, because this is the last one, where he starts pulsing extremely early, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of extra healing to get him to push. So I stay there for as long as possible with my bark skin popped. However, once I realize I'm taking too much damage, I just get my last fight off and prepare for Nuclear Blast. You also want to time your Tiger's Fury to make sure it is up for when this armor plate releases, because remember, this is a 23-second DPS race. So to get this Burning Tendon down, you need everything you got, everything your raid has, because if not, you have to go through that entire process again, getting an amalgamation, getting stacks to 9, and then getting him to cast Nuclear Blast against the armor plate again. However, that's the fight. It ends with a cool cinematic that I'll let you guys watch while I go ahead and do my preaching. Basically, if you have any questions about Feral DPS, as always, be sure to check out FluidDruid.net on the forums there. Great discussions going on. For any raid strategy, be sure you're checking out LanderRaid.com. They got everything you need. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll catch you on the next boss kill.